Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here at Archive and Myth, just beneath the Hippodrome in London, to launch our latest whisky. I'm also really delighted to be joined by Millie Milliken, who's going to taste it with me and enjoy, hopefully, telling you all about it so that we can give it a bit of discussion. Millie.
Thanks, Sarah. Yes, we are here to officially launch number 6 of the Reserve Cask selection from the Wine Society. This is a 31-year-old from Speyside. There's only 3,900 bottles of this, and at £90 a pop, I think that's incredible value. I was lucky to try this earlier today. But could you, Sarah, just give us a bit of context about the range first, just so we kind of know where this sits in the set?
Absolutely. So this is the 6th whisky that we're releasing, and I have to tell members, unfortunately, this is our last single malt from this series. Unfortunately, we've now bottled most of our reserve stocks. So the Wine Society's story here is that we used to bottle wines in Stevenage at the Wine Society, and we would bottle things like sherry. And so when wonderful sherry casks came over, we would empty them, bottle the sherry, and send the casks up to Scotland to be filled. All the way through the 70s, 80s, 90s, we were doing that. But unfortunately, in the 90s, bottling sherry in Jerez became mandatory. And so we stopped bottling sherry in the UK, and we actually closed our bottling line. At that point, we stopped sending barrels to Scotland. Oh. So when I inherited the spirits range at the Wine Society, I discovered this very old ledger that was still genuinely a very big paperback, leather-bound book. And it told me of all of these odd barrels of whiskey that we had up in Scotland.
Incredible.
And this is what we decided to do with it. So we've now had 6 releases, including today's, which is apparently live now online. And I'm delighted to be able to release these to members.
Fantastic. I'm delighted to be here for the official release as well.
Cheers, by the way. Quick smell and taste.
I think what I got immediately from this, and we'll delve into the whiskey in a bit more detail in a bit, but I think, you know, at this time of year, something like this whiskey specifically, is so resonant of the flavors that we want to be tasting. It's such a kind of celebration in a bottle. And for this time of year, this is a perfect gift. It's a perfect gift for yourself and perfect for entertaining. But would you be able to give us, Sarah, a little bit more detail specifically on number 6?
Yes, so this is, as we said, a Speyside whisky that we've been keeping. It's a single distillery that's used. We've chosen not to release the name of the distilleries, mainly because I'm very keen to keep very friendly relationships with lots of distilleries in Scotland, so that I can perhaps get some more bottlings for future releases, perhaps in another 20 or 30 years' time. But this distillery is known for being quite spiced and quite fresh as a style of whisky. Here we were able to select a number of barrels. We had more barrels than we used in the end, but we were able to turn some away and just blend the barrels that we thought were best for this sort of amalgamation. Although it's one of our larger releases, so as you said, 3,900 bottles. So there is plenty of stock. Hopefully everyone will be able to get hold of something.
And I think for me, what really stands out on not just the taste of this whiskey, but also knowing that it's a 31-year-old from Speyside at such a sort of limited release. How on earth is this only £90 a bottle? I mean, £90 isn't a small amount of money, but for what you're getting here, it's incredible.
Well, I think this really speaks to the Wine Society's cooperative status. So because we're a cooperative, because we're owned by our members, if you'd like to buy this whiskey and haven't yet joined the Wine Society, I'm afraid you'll have to buy your membership first. Is £40, but you can get the £20 credit and use it straight away on this bottle. However, by becoming a member of our society, it means that you're going to benefit from our pricing, and our pricing model is very much about not maximizing profit. We're supplying all of our wines to our members. We're owned by our members, and so in this case, we're able to try and sell it at a lower price, precisely for that reason. So I'm hopeful that this will enable members to get hold of a bottle and enjoy something that, as you say, can be quite expensive. 30-plus-year-old single malt whiskies often come with a price tag that is many hundreds of pounds rather than just under 100. And so I'm really hopeful that this just opens the door to those of you that are curious about whiskey and want to experience something that's quite, I think, quite special.
definitely.
Hopefully you like it too.
100%. I think it's absolutely delicious. And I think that accessibility thing is really important. It's important to me in what I do in the whiskey space. So I think making whiskies like this accessible to people who maybe haven't had the chance to try something this old before is a fantastic initiative. It's really, really interesting.
And that actually leads me nicely, Millie. Tell us a bit more about you, because our members perhaps don't know your background and how we're here talking about whiskey.
Of course. Well, I think, first of all, it's amazing that there are two women talking about whiskey in the space. I have been writing about food and drink for the best part of 13, 14 years. And I kind of transitioned into the drink space and, well, the spirit space mainly. Went to the dark side and never really looked back. I write for the Evening Standard, for Club Enology, Decanter. I specialise in whiskey, rum and agave spirits, but I get so much chance to go and see Scottish distilleries, which is amazing. I also work for the Our Whiskey Foundation, which is a non-profit which helps recognise women in the whiskey space, which is a really important part of my work as well. And I get to do fun stuff like this too. And speaking of whiskey, should we have a quick chat about what we're getting taste wise, flavor wise? And I think it'd be great to have a quick chat about maybe how we see this maybe fitting into people's Christmas celebrations as well.
The Christmas word is out there. We're in.
We're in.
Post Halloween, post fireworks day, we're in.
We're in. That's over.
Love it. So for me, I think there's this beautiful fragrant nose. I always terribly, even though some of my background is in spirits, before I worked at the Wine Society, I bought spirits from another company and have been buying spirits at the Wine Society for a number of years. But I always talk about things and relate to the wine smells and flavors. So for me, the aroma and the smell is really evocative on this whiskey. I think there's a lovely kind of hay and caramel note. Lots of those nuts are coming through already. For me, it's more of those kind of cashew nuts and almonds. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
That's similar for you?
Definitely. And I think on the palate as well, there's a really lovely kind of dryness to it, which I think leans into those nutty notes. There's a kind of marzipan element to it. I kind of see correlations with something like panettone, because it has those dried fruits, but they're maybe a little bit more sort of floral as well.
Yes, it's those kind of lighter coloured sultanas rather than the dark raisins.
Apricots and sultanas, things like that. And I think this is the sort of thing that would work amazingly throughout a day. So it could work sort of before lunch if you're feeling a bit cheeky.
Christmas morning.
Christmas morning.
So, Christmas
breakfast whiskey. I think as well it would work beautifully with something like cheese. And I think it's really versatile, despite it being quite a complex and kind of nuanced flavour profile. I think this would work beautifully with food throughout the day as well.
And then I often, in my own drinking habits, tend to add water to whiskey. Do you feel that would be a good or bad thing here, or each their own?
Drink whiskey how you want to. I think this sits about 46% ABV, so it's not too hot, which is why it's quite a good daytime whiskey. But if you want to add water to it, that will only just enhance all of those beautiful flavors. So it can never hurt. You can have it with ice, add water. I think this would work really nice, maybe with a splash of ginger beer as well. It's really versatile, and I think you should drink whiskey how you want to, really. There's no wrong answer to that.
Well, we often get questions about glassware on wrong answers. I think so many people get very worried about how, which glass is best for a posh whiskey or a special whiskey.
I've drunk whiskey out of a mug before, we're good.
Great.
But I think something like this is fantastic. Anything you've got at home, glassware is short at this time of year. You don't have much of it lying around. It seems to get used up really quickly. So anything that you want to pour it into is absolutely fine as well.
And then one of the huge advantages I find with spirits, although you might have a different view, is how long you can keep them once open. How long would you keep your whiskies once open? So
they do last longer than, say, a wine. I would say try and finish your bottle of whiskey, which I don't think will be a problem with this one, sort of in the 2 to 3 month realm. But a good tip that I had from someone is, as you see, there's a bit of space that will start coming into the bottle. If you can, decant this into a smaller bottle. You can keep this one, of course, but it just lowers that level of oxidization that's at the top, and it will keep a little bit longer, and keep it in a cool spot. Keep it somewhere out of direct sunlight, and keep your whiskey stood up, not like wine where you would keep it laying down.
Good
so
tips.
Keep it stood up like that. So those are my top tips.
Terribly in my household. My husband and I both enjoy whiskey a lot, and so do my brother-in-law and my uncle, and aunts and all the rest. So it tends to disappear quite quickly. I feel like we don't store whiskey for very long.
I don't think people are going to have that problem.
Never
to be
mind.
honest.
But I think it's probably all we've said about the whiskey is enough.
Exactly.
But, it leaves me to say thank you so much for joining me, Millie. It's lovely to have been on this live with you. And as you say, it is a little bit rare to see two women talking about whiskey. We love it too. So yes, I hope you all enjoy the festive period to come and potentially enjoy it with an extra bottle of 1993 Speyside single malt reserve from the Wine Society at this incredible price. If not for you, think about gifting options. I'm definitely picking up 2 or 3. Spoiler alert for my family out there, but it's going to happen.
Me too. I'm going to pick one up. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thanks, everyone. And thanks for joining us as well.
Thanks for joining us. See you soon.